Hello, and welcome to the Storied Human. I'm Lynn Thompson, and today my guest is Trent Brock, a man who has overcome health challenges and has been a very successful entrepreneur. Originally from the Deep South Louisiana, Trent considers himself a little rough around the edges Southern gentleman. He's a world traveler and small business international entrepreneur that introduced, owns, and operates a kettle corn manufacturing business in New Zealand over the last 13 years. He's also a three-time cancer overcomer. He's now 2 years cancer-free and has beaten incredible odds, and we'll hear more about that later. He considers his purpose to share his journey, giving others inspiration and hope. Recently, he's co-authored a bestseller that has been released on Amazon called Breaking the Silence: Voices of Survivors. He's a coach, a speaker, and now a podcast guest with me and best-selling author. It's so nice to meet you today. I've been very excited about this interview. Welcome, Trent.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. God, man, I mean, what an intro there. I don't even know what we're going to have to talk about.
I know sometimes we give away too much, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of details in between, I'll tell you.
Right.
So,
And
sure,
that's
yeah,
what makes the story is those details for sure.
absolutely.
So where would you like to start? Would you like to start with the medical or with the entrepreneur?
God, you know what? Really, it's your podcast, and so
Yeah.
I'm happy to go any direction that you would like to go. I usually will just, you ask me something and I'll just keep talking.
Yes.
So,
Right.
if you want to
Okay.
just say,
I'd
okay, move
I'd
another
like to
direction,
start
let me know. Hmm.
I'd really like to start with the cancer story because I think it's
Okay.
unbelievable what you
Okay.
beat, the odds that you beat.
Sure.
And I know my readers, my listeners would love to hear how that started, how you got through that
Sure.
three
Sure.
times. I mean, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I know. I know. I honestly, I can't even believe it sometimes myself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So let's see. Back in spring of 2019, I'm in the popcorn factory, and it's a it's a small business. So I wear many hats, and I'm around the factory, lifting stuff, carrying stuff, anything from cooking, cleaning, ordering, whatever. And I went to, excuse me, three different GPs, and they all just came up with the same thing. They're just like, we think you've torn one of your gluteus butt muscles, and and so I just kind of left it, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And so I actually had to go into the hospital to get some blood work done. And the hematologist just said, something's not right. We're going to do an x-ray before you go. And we bickered about it a little bit. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. I'll do an x-ray. And I left. And, excuse me,
It's
I got
okay.
something in my throat here. Um, so, as that cliche goes, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was headed off to lunch, and um, the hematologist called, and she just said, "Hey, that X-ray, it's cancer,
Oh
and
God.
it's very aggressive, and it's to the point where you have about a quarter inch of your um, pelvis holding your leg on. Every step that you take, you're in danger of breaking your leg. And if you break your leg, we can't save it. So
Oh
you
my
need to
God.
come to the emergency room right now. And when you get there, you sit, when you get there, straight into a wheelchair. And that's where it started. So New Zealand is public health care. So they admitted me, and kind of the thing that happened was over a 6 month period, they would do the X-rays and scans. It would take them a couple months to create the implant. Then when they were ready to do surgery, it didn't fit because the cancer had progressed. So
Oh,
third time, third time, they're like, well, it's too far along, and we're cutting the leg off.
oh my God.
So I lost it, right? And at that time, I kind of gotten, after several appointments, I gotten to the point where I would ask my parents, they'd be on the speakerphone with me. And just kind of a tip, one of the tips that I would give anybody is if you get in a situation where you are going into the doctor to see something about serious things, what happens a lot of times is you get in there and you've got an agenda or things in your head that you want to talk about, some questions you want to ask, and what I like to do is let the doctor talk first. He's got his points he wants to make. And a lot of times the first point is the only one you hear because it
Oh
blows
yeah,
you out of the water so
it's so true.
far that you are trying to comprehend what's going on. And you talk to him for a half hour and you don't remember anything. And we're talking life and death or limb and losing and things. And so I had done that a few times. So I had my parents on the line. They were in the States. I'm in New Zealand, and my dad stepped in and he just said, "Hey, look, Doc, you're not cutting this guy's leg off.
Oh,
He's a fighter. He's not a quitter. He's never quit on anything. You leave that leg, and I guarantee you, somehow he's going to make it work." And so the doc just said, "Well, okay." And he came back a few days later and he said, "Look, we'll leave the leg. Basically, it's going to be maybe no better than a stump. It's going to be a lot harder for you if instead of just cutting it off. And I'm
oh,
not guaranteeing functionality. I'm not guaranteeing any feeling, and it's definitely going to be shorter than the other."
wow.
And my dad said, leave it, or we're flying him home tomorrow." So we left it, and so, let's see, I had about, it got infected. It got infected and, somehow during the surgery or whatever, another 5 or 6 surgeries, never could get over the infection.
Oh,
Did all the antibiotics, did all the surgeries, did everything, 4 or 5 months, in hospital and, finally got out and, back to work and my folks went home. So, I was on crutches at this time, and I never stopped working the whole time. It's a small
wow.
business.
Right.
I'm the
You
owner.
felt like you had to. Yeah.
I felt like, either we shut the doors or, I keep doing that.
Yeah.
And, it was to the point where I wasn't allowed, out of the bed literally for 60 days.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, and so like, I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom. So, I mean, it was like when somebody rolled me over, they brought in about 5 or 6 nurses, and it was like this mummy thing where they roll you over to the side and roll you back. But hey, I had my computer and I had my food tray and I put my laptop on that thing. And, my staff would come in. My staff would come in and we would have meetings, in
You just
my
kept going.
hospital
Yeah.
room. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you know what? The thing is, it actually was good for me.
Yeah.
People think, how did you do that? Well, let me tell you, like if you've been in the hospital, the doctor
Yeah.
comes to see you, for 15 minutes, like once a week. What do you do? What do you do with the other 24 hours in the day? You,
You
you
got
know,
way too much time to think about what's wrong with you. Yeah.
and you know what? Most people, when they do that, they go south instead of going north if you sit there
Right.
long enough, right? And
Yeah.
so it was great for me. It was actually good for me because it allowed me to take myself somewhere else and concentrate on something because there's only so much you can think about. How am I going to deal
Right.
with this? What am I going to do? You make a decision and then you're just waiting around. So it actually was good for me in that respect. So yeah, so right, got out of the hospital. Mom and dad went home and back to work. Had my next scan, and it was lung and pancreas cancer. So double doozy on that one.
Get
Yeah.
out.
hmm Double doozy on that one. And
God.
in between the scan and the appointments and scheduling the pancreatic surgery, because obviously that's the more serious of the two, COVID hits. And
Oh my
so,
God.
yeah. So in New Zealand, they locked us down like caged
They
animals.
did right away.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really tough. So Had the pancreas surgery, and luckily it was on the bottom end of my pancreas instead of the top end, because the top end is where everything it connects to everything.
Oh, good.
And so they removed that, and they had to take my spleen as well. And when I got the debrief after the surgery, it actually was a misdiagnosis.
Oh,
It was a blood clot. It wasn't a tumor.
oh God.
So they removed all that, and it was a bittersweet thing, right? So congratulations, you don't have pancreatic cancer, but we've compromised your health,
Yeah, really.
and everything. Yeah, so that was that. I just, hey man, we're still alive. And then several months later it was the lung thing. And so went
Jeez.
in, and still the COVID deal, still the COVID thing. No one can visit you, no one can see you, and had the lung surgery, and that went okay. They removed one of the lobes that had a tumor in it, and the orthopedic had found out that it knew that I was in the hospital, and I had kind of decided after these guys had 6 or 7 tries on my hip, I'm kind of done with it. I'm not doing anything else.
Yes. Anybody would be. Yes.
Yeah, and I knew it was infected, and I knew it. I mean, I drug the thing around. It hurt all the time, every step you take, every time you roll over,
Oh man.
anytime you move. I mean, the thing I kind of try to give somebody to compare would be like, when you get a splinter in your finger. Okay, when you get an infected splinter in your finger.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah,
It's
so you
different.
can imagine, yeah,
Yeah.
in an infection spot about that big,
Oh my
in
God.
my hip. So he said, "Hey, look, when we did the first surgery, we attached a little wire to the leg bone, to the little piece of bone that you had left in your pelvis, so the leg wouldn't continue to rise up, because over time it's jello, and so it's just going to continue to tick up. So this is what it looked like when they did the initial surgery, and you can see there's actually no pelvis on this side. So that's the
Yeah,
normal
he's
side.
showing me. I'm just
Yeah,
looking at an x-ray and there's no like wing shape of a pelvis on the right side
nothing.
or your left side. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Holy
And you
moly.
can see that's the wire that they put in
Yeah.
to hold the leg bone from going up.
Oh my God.
Pretty good idea. I mean, a bit of a rough deal, but it worked. Well, they thought that was the source of the infection, so they went in
Oh.
and took it out. And in the end, it actually wasn't the source of the infection. So I'm in hospital with, oh yeah, and by the way, the day after my lung surgery, that got infected. So I had an infected
My God.
lung thing. So an infected lung thing, an infected hip, and let's see what else. Let's see. So I was supposed to be in the hospital about 2 weeks. It ended up being 2.5 months.
Oh,
Attached they put an IV thing in my arm, and I had a vacuum um, suction thing on my leg to try to help the healing. So didn't got through all that, and back to work again, right back to work.
oh my gosh. You and your work.
It was the only thing I had to keep my sanity,
I get it though. No, I get it. You got to think of something else. Yeah. Plus
yeah.
it was your
So
livelihood.
yeah, right. And here's the thing, world traveler, career guy, no kids, never been married, no family. And so, my popcorn business is my baby.
That's your
You
thing,
know,
right? That's
that's,
your thing.
yeah, that's my thing. That's my thing.
And no one
So
else is going to do it like you do it.
that's exactly right. And unfortunately, I've been blessed with, that semi-perfectionist, thing as well. So golly, man, uh, yeah, very difficult to give up
Oh my
control
God.
and trust and all those things. That's a whole nother conversation, right? Yeah. So hey, got through all that, and doing my thing. Next scan, no, 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 for real, you really do have pancreatic cancer this time.
Oh, give me a break.
You really do. And so back and forth with the surgeon over a couple of months. I'm like, I don't want to remove it. It makes me surgically a diabetic. I don't want to go through with that. Uh, can we radiate it? Can we do something? And I said, we got to prove it this time as well, because the last time, we skipped the biopsy option
Yeah. Yeah.
because, you just convinced me that it was
Yeah.
cancer and it wasn't. And so, we got the biopsy and,
I mean,
gosh,
were
it
you
was
starting to lose faith in them? I mean, they sound a little bit like they failed you a couple times.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's a public system. We've dealt, public system, government systems, they're there. But they just don't work as well as private things, right? I mean, we've all been involved with some government things, from anything from the post office to, Medicare or whatever. It's just how it goes. And New Zealand is a bit behind anyways. It's just a little slower. They don't have the technology
Smaller
that we would have
country. Yeah.
here. All those things.
Yeah.
And so over when they first discovered it, I like to give people a couple visuals. When I first discovered it, it was this size, basically a couple of nickels, okay, that showed up on the
Oh,
scan.
yeah.
After a few months and everything, getting the biopsy, it had grown to the size of a tennis ball.
Get out. That
Yeah,
seems impossible. A couple of months? Oh my God.
about 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
And I knew the time was running out. Pancreatic cancer with treatment, okay, is less than 5%.
Yeah, I know that the odds are bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a death sentence, right? So I decided, you know what? I know. I look in the mirror, and honestly, I'm like, you're dying. I can just tell. My stomach's killing me. The tumor's growing into my stomach.
You can feel it.
I'm having trouble eating. My stomach hurts all the time. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. So I went to a couple of private oncologists and radiologists and things like that. And he just said, "Hey, look, this has progressed too far, and there's nothing we can do for you."
Oh my
And I'm
God.
thinking, we waited around and I'm going to die from this. So they couldn't
Mm.
do surgery. They couldn't do radiation. Chemo didn't work on this kind of stuff. And so I just thought, well, I've got a year left. I'm going to go home and be with my parents for the year that I have left. And so, I was on the phone with my folks one day after we had talked to the pancreatic doctor. And, my folks are awesome. They are uh, awesome people. They've been with me through this thing. I wouldn't be here without them. And, I could feel them starting to kind of lose
Oh,
hope too,
yeah.
the hopelessness, the despair. Their son's dying and there's nothing they can do about it. And he's on the other side of the world, And I thought, you know what? Because once I got diagnosed with the pancreatic thing, my team's like, Trent, just take it easy. Just go home, hang around, you just relax, take care of yourself. And I did that for a couple of weeks. And I'll tell you what, I thought that was cool, but I'll tell you what, by about 10, 11 o'clock, I was going nuts. I saw the news, I watched the talk shows. They've made me
Yeah.
depressed. There's no one to play with. Everybody's at work. There's no one to play with. I'm bored. I'm waiting
Yeah.
for lunch to get here. And I thought, the hell with this. I'm going back to work.
Yeah.
And I just decided, you know what? Um, I've never quit, just like my dad said. This guy ain't a quitter, he's a fighter. And I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna fight this thing until it's over. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going out with my dignity and my pride that I never gave up until my last breath. And so that's when I decided I'm going for it. And so I came home and, you know, with everything being all over, all over, had them having to come all the way down to New Zealand and all the stuff. And I'm like, well, once I'm home, where am I going to go? Am I going to go to MD Anderson or to Mayo or a big clinic and I thought, you know what? Let's just start at home. Let's
Yeah.
just start at home. And my folks live in Northwest Arkansas. And from the research that I've done, it's a nice little pocket of healthcare that they're really working hard on developing. Walmart's the headquarters here,
Yeah.
and JB Hunt and Tyson and things like that.
Yeah.
And so they're really working on making this place specialized with some of the healthcare stuff. And I thought, hey man, let's do that. So we started here, and the day I got off the plane, I went into the clinic, and it's just kind of good old country boy radiologist. And and we talked about my concerns, and he said, hey, look, if we don't do something, you're definitely going to die from this. So we need to do something, and I think that we can get this thing. And my concerns about are we going to burn a hole through me or the surgery or whatever, he said, hey, look, we have pretty good machinery here in a humble way.
Yeah.
He said, the stuff we have here is probably a little bit more advanced in New Zealand. And, I think we should give this a shot. I really think we can get it. And so by that time, by the time I started radiation, it was the size of a softball.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
And so, your pancreas, a full pancreas is about the size of like a Frankfurter sausage. Okay.
Okay.
And so I had half of mine left. So I had about 3 inches left, and a softball was growing on it.
Oh,
So, but hey, you know what? We zapped that sucker. We zapped it. I had to wait about 3 months. It was the longest 3 months of my life. Praying
yeah.
and praying and believing and prophesying and hoping and everything else. And we got it. We zapped it. We zapped it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, yeah. And then after that, I did some immunotherapy, and that's kind of the newer thing. It's kind of the new big brother cool thing to chemo. Um, Chemo is basically like it's like a nuclear bomb, right? It just goes in, it just flattens everything.
It's poison.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't care if it's good, bad, or whatever,
Yeah.
different. Okay, it's just gonna just wipe out everything. This immunotherapy, it's like it targets things. It's like a missile, right? It finds these bad cells, man, and it just gets those. So
That's
it
so
doesn't kill
cool.
the good ones.
Yeah. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it was good that we did that, because there was some other things that were wanting to start, right? But this got it before all that happened.
That's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, it's like, okay, my plan was, when I got home, it's like, we're going to beat the cancer, and we're going to beat this leg infection, and then I'm going to walk again. Okay. I'm going for it all.
Wow.
So we got the cancer thing. And so here's the deal, right? If you've had chronic infection in your hip, most surgeons won't operate on you, because you have something like an 80% chance of a recurring infection, even if it's not evident. Even when they take
Wow.
biopsies, aspirations, go in there, look around, do whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. They just won't touch you.
Oh, I
So
see.
I had a hard time finding anybody that would even talk to me.
That would talk to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I found again, here in Northwest Arkansas, I found a guy, man, and uh, he's just, he's a little fella that works out, and he's buff, and he's a go-getter, and he's got this killer attitude. And, he's just like, Trent, I think we can get this. I think we can get this.
I love
And
that.
one of the things I've learned, is, it's your life. It's your life. You don't have to. If you and this doctor, they don't get along, that's okay. Okay, you can go to another one.
Yeah.
And one of the analogies that I used that kind of helped me through this was, it was such a this big, massive, heavy thing of like this life and death and living and dying. And I mean, I just started taking it like a challenge. Like, we're going to play the game of life. We're going to play a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And my game's football. Okay, I'm a football guy. I love football. I mean, typical, right? And so I'm the quarterback. It's my team.
Yes,
It's
you
my
are.
it's my it's my team. And so I get to choose who's on my team. And if it doesn't work out, hey, we just trade you off. We'll trade you off and get a new one. And
Yeah.
so I think people should have the confidence. And if you have a doctor that isn't open, even to saying, hey, like this is what I think we should do,
Yeah.
and you want to go get a second opinion and he doesn't agree with that, he's probably not the right guy for you.
That's good
Yeah,
advice. Yeah.
yeah.
Because what I'm hearing is there's some creative doctors that you found that were willing to take up the challenge. And that's who you need. You need somebody who's creative, ready to go. Like they're not all like that, right? That's a great point.
No, they aren't.
Yeah.
No, they aren't. No, they aren't. And yeah, and so this guy was on my team, and we beat the infection, and we did everything we had to do. It was a 3-month course of IV antibiotics every day, 2 hours,
Yikes.
with these little ball things. It's got all the stuff in it. You connect it up, and it made me feel terrible, and I was
Mm.
sick, and I mean, but hey. I would do anything to walk again,
Yeah.
anything.
So
And,
here's the question. I gotta know.
yeah.
That's
Mhm.
a hell of a lot to go through for anybody. How did you keep your spirits up? How did you get through this? What did you say to yourself? Or have you always been somebody who meets challenges? I don't understand where this came from. It's like amazing to me that you got through all this.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. Normally, when I see something, first thing that hits me, quite, I can be quite pessimistic about it, right? Quite
Okay.
realist, and what I did is I started to change my mindset, and the
Mm,
way that I did that is I started cutting out negative things in my life. Okay. And so, negative things being some friends that, weren't on the same page with me, and, and things like that. And I started, if I wasn't at work, I was doing anything that would be something towards saving my life. Right. So, I started to change my diet. And I just started simple, and I couldn't. I started changing my diet, and I couldn't even bend over and touch my toes, right?
oh,
But I had done yoga. I've always worked out. I've always lifted weights. I've been an athlete since I was a little kid, and I used to do yoga once a week. Instead of just pounding the weights,
yeah.
and I started with the yoga in my
Yeah.
office by myself, 2 or 3 minutes a day. And I started doing that. And then the self-help stuff started. And
Mm,
what I would do is, I'm a Christian, I'm a man of faith. I'm not like some crazy Jesus freak guy, but I believe in God and I believe in
yeah.
my higher power. And,
That
and
helps a lot.
absolutely, absolutely. And, I found some of my scriptures that, I would say repeatedly, and I started listening to self-help stuff and positive things. And what I would do is, at night, I would put something on and I would put it on repeat, and I'd fall asleep listening to it.
Yeah.
And I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be saying it to myself. And in the morning it would be playing.
You
And I
programmed
just
yourself. Yeah.
that's
I
exact
love
that's it.
this.
That's
So
exactly what I did.
how did you know to do that? Like that's so cool to me. How did you know to go towards the positive stuff and to cut out the negative? I mean, you said you were an athlete. It might have come from that, like where you have to have a certain mindset to do well as an athlete.
Sure, sure, sure.
You're trained a little
Um,
bit in that already.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And my mom, man, my mom was a powerhouse Christian lady.
Yeah.
And so, I was getting some advice things from her. And the thing is, I knew I had to convince myself. I
Yeah.
had a really hard time trying to convince myself. A facts guy. I
Yeah.
just look at the
Oh yeah.
facts, make practical decisions. decisions. I got 5 or 6 doctors telling me you're not going to make this. These guys are the experts, and so what I would do is anytime I put up like things around the house, right? So I have a vision board now. Okay, I have a
That's
vision
so
board.
good. Yeah.
Every morning when I get up, I look at that vision board and I think about it. And I put up little pictures around places, to remind me, okay, you set this goal. My goal was I want to live, but my why had to be more important than my
Oh,
goal. And my why was because I'm not dying on my parents. I'm not doing it.
aw. Oh,
You
that's
know, I
powerful. Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it. So, I'd had a friend about 9 months before I had gotten diagnosed with cancer, a really good friend, my brother's best friend, my aunt and uncle's godson, 38, died of cancer, left his kids, left his wife. Okay. And then a few months after that, one of my buddies um, owned a restaurant that we went to on the daily, all the time, down there on the waterfront in New Zealand, looking at the beach, and he got sideways and ended up taking his life. And I just thought, you know what? There's too many people dying. There's too many people dying, and I'm tired of watching parents bury their kids. And so this ain't gonna happen. And that's kind of how I started
Yeah.
to find that. And you know what? I mean, it was I don't even know how I made it through, but I would get up in the mornings and thank God for my team. There was some days, I mean, I couldn't even hardly get out of the bed. And they'd be calling, and they're like, Trent, we need you at work. We don't know how to fix this. You have to come to work. We need you. And and you know what? I just tried to take it day by day.
Yeah.
And some days I couldn't even handle the whole day. And I would just say, you know what? I just got to get my butt in the car and I just got to get to work. And most days, I was laying on the couch in my office. Okay. And my
Wow.
team would come in and in the beginning, they're like, "Oh, are you all right? You all right?" I'm just like, I'm in so much pain. I mean, I couldn't sit. I couldn't sit up.
Yeah.
I had lost half of my core. I couldn't even hold myself up. It was either I was laying down or I was on my crutches. Holding myself up. Sitting down and it didn't work. So I'd lay on the couch and my team would come in and I'd say, "Come in. Tell me all your problems, but sit at my desk because because when you leave this room, you're going to be the boss.
Yeah.
You got to go fix this, okay? I can't do it anymore. I can't show you anymore, but I can tell you.
Yeah.
And if you can't fix it, come back. I'm going to be here, okay?
Yeah.
And we're going to try again." And it was actually good for my team.
It kept you going.
Um,
Yeah.
It kept me going and it kept my team, it made them grow. They grew as men and as people and got more confidence in themselves and learned more skills. And I was kind of holding them back, instead of showing them how to do it. I said, "Hey, you got to go. This is the direction you got to go. Go figure it
Yeah.
out.
That's
But
kind of
I'm here
cool.
for you."
Yeah.
So,
A different kind of, yeah. That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and
So
yeah,
where are you now? Now I did read about
mhm,
you're part
yeah,
of a special thing going on at Mayo
that's
to
correct. Yeah,
restore your part of your hip, right?
that's right. That's right. So, I researched about all over the world. I went to doctors all over the country, and I found
Wow.
this one guy that's actually a University of Arkansas medical school graduate that I was referred to by my senior orthopedic kind of advisor that has been around the Arkansas and the medical network forever. And he said, "Hey, look, I think this guy can do something for you." And so he's like, one of the only guys in the world that would even try something like this.
Another
And
creative guy, another guy willing to step up.
that's right. That's
That's
right.
who you got to look
And
for. I'm sensing a theme here. I think it's so important to get this out to people that you
yeah,
don't have to go to the first doctor you find.
that's right. That's right. I mean, I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, MD Anderson, okay, they wouldn't even touch me. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
they don't have
uh,
the guts.
other doctors at Mayo wanted nothing to do with me. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
People in the Arkansas University of Arkansas medical system. We don't have the expertise, you know.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you know, and the whole time, you know what? I was training, I was getting ready because I was told, you know, you're never going to walk again. So I had gotten to the point, and I want to show you what happened over time is that my leg got to where this was the shoe I was wearing.
And he's
That
showing me
is
something with about 4 inches of a platform.
four and a quarter,
Yeah.
4.25 inches is what it had gotten
I'm
to.
gonna have to show that because that's amazing.
And so you know, that's what I was told. So, you know, I was staying in shape. I was still believing. I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep doing this because I think I'm going to find somebody. And I found my guy.
You did.
And yeah. And, you know, when I went and saw, you know, I wasn't going to be the one, like physically, that was going to prevent me from
Yeah.
being able to do this. You know, I mean,
Right.
you know, I'm late 40s, you know. This is only for young guys, right? And so we did all the tests, we did all the stuff, man. I was in shape, I was ready to go. I had been training. I trained for, you know, 2.5 years trying to get this leg in good enough shape. And and so we did. And I'm in the middle of a three part surgery thing right now. And so, just to give you an idea, this is what they've done. Okay. This
There's
is the largest, most complex hip implant ever done. It's like nine screws, three rods, 18 hours of surgery over
you
2 days.
you actually have a pelvis on that side now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you're
Yeah.
showing me. Oh my
That's exact.
God.
That's it.
Now,
That's
does it
it.
hurt?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're just used to
Um,
pain, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Oh God.
I've had like 10 or 11 hip surgeries or something. So,
Good God.
you know, living with pain. But this has given me my stability back, right?
Oh,
It
that's
didn't give me
great.
it didn't give me all the length back. So,
Right.
I will show you. Today is a pretty big day actually. Um so this happened back in July, and unfortunately, it got infected, and we didn't
Oh,
know. So in October, I had to go back in. They had to take out all the bits and pieces that they could,
oh,
scrub it out, clean it out, and I basically had to start over in the middle of October.
oh.
And yeah, so that was rough. Antibiotics that just killed me. I can't even side effects with all sorts of stuff. You know, and so now they've gotten me down to this, and I got this shoe today.
Is that two
Today,
inches?
this is an inch and 3/4.
Oh, even better. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And so you know,
That says it all to me. That's huge. Yeah.
they can't. You know, there's only after something shrinks, there's only so far they can stretch it. Okay,
Yeah.
before it won't work. And so, you know, if they just stretch it too far, it'll paralyze the nerves, the blood vessels, and
Right.
so
They have to be careful.
that's as far as we could go. And so, I got about a year. I got about a year,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I got to get this thing right. And then if I want to get that extra length back, what they'll do is a bone lengthening procedure where they go in, they cut the femur, and then they use kind of like a bit of a ratchet system, and
Oh,
it'll grow about an inch a month
oh,
over a
they
couple
can
of
make it.
months.
That's so interesting. They can
Yeah,
make it grow.
yeah, you know, because some people, you know, like in a car wreck, or you know, you're born with your legs not quite even, they do that kind of things for people.
Yeah. Yeah, I have
And
heard of that. Almost like a graft.
yeah,
Almost like a tree. Yeah.
yep, that's
So
exactly right.
can you walk now? Are you close
I
to walking?
I am, I mean, I can tell you now, just from having this shoe today, I'm going to be able to walk. I'm
This
going to be
is
able to
so great.
walk, and I'll be walking this year. So, from having the infection and everything that's happened, I'm still up in the air if I'm going to do the bone lengthening thing. Well, let's just
Right.
see. Let's just see. It's an option. It's
See
an
how you
option.
feel. Yeah.
That's right. It's an option.
I
So,
can't believe how far you've come. And I can imagine it you do coaching and you do positive thinking speaking, you inspirational speaking.
absolutely.
I
Yep.
can
Yep. Yep.
imagine you're really good at it because you've walked the walk, you know? You don't
Sure.
just talk
That's
the
right.
talk. Um,
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
still amazed that you made it through and that you were able to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you said yourself, you look back and go, how did I do that? Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I just had to break things down. And some days I'm like, you know what? It's all I can do is just to get myself to this appointment or just to
Yeah.
get myself to lunch. But you know what I
Yeah.
try to do? What I try to do is, every day when I'm laying in bed, right? And I'm thinking about how was my day? I'm one of those people, I'm one of those people where, you know, I have to know that I did enough, okay?
Yeah.
That I did enough because if not, I'm going to go to bed upset with myself. And you don't win every day. You don't, right?
Right.
You don't win every play. You don't win every game. You don't make yardage on every. But you know what? I knew that if I won enough days, that I was going to make it.
Yeah.
And
That's really great.
it's there's not this big like secret crazy formula. Okay. There's not. It's
Yeah.
all about hard work. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in yourself, every time I didn't believe in myself, I would just tell myself out loud, I'm going to beat this cancer. I'm going to walk again. I'm going to do it. And I'll tell you what, if you keep just saying stuff and keep telling yourself something enough,
Yeah.
you believe it. Because you know what? It's the same thing, right? You hear people say, man, I'm a loser. I'm terrible. Whatever. What happens? They begin to believe it. And then guess
It's
what happens?
true. Yeah.
Then they
Well,
turn into a loser, right?
because your subconscious doesn't know any different. It does what you say. Right. It makes it
Right.
come true, or you
Yep.
attract those things too.
That's
Um,
right.
I'm
Yep.
just reminded of my own cancer journey, which is nothing like what you've gone through,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah.
I did have breast cancer. They caught it really early in 2018.
Okay.
And I did the same thing. I started to get super worried. I did the same thing you did, where I just said, and this is very weird because I'm a worrier, but I just said to myself, no, I'm just going to get through the next doctor's appointment. I'm not going to worry about all those surgeries or the possibility of this or that. I'm going to do
Yep.
bit by bit the next thing. And that helped so much. But something also occurred to me is that I was at a really good place in my life when this happened,
Yeah.
a really good place. Like I had a
Okay.
great job that I loved, and
Yeah.
husband and I are good, and my, son was doing well, and I felt well, in my life.
Yeah.
So I was able to handle it. I
Yeah.
think I think what I'm hearing from you is you had the wherewithal to handle it. You were not in a bad place. Like I wonder what happens to people sometimes. I can think of darker times in my life where I might not
Yeah.
have handled it as well, or I was alone. I wasn't
Yeah.
alone. And
It it
and I
was.
love that part of how you went ahead was for your parents, because when you're doing something for someone else, there's so much more motivation, I think. For
Yeah.
yourself, it's always good to do stuff for yourself. But when you're thinking of your parents, that just really moved me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes,
I
you're
mean, that's
inspirational.
my
Like,
motivation. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
it. I mean, very
you're like
simple.
it's like you have a superpower though. You're kind of you know, what's the word? I can't think of the word. You're
I,
humble. You're humble
I
about it.
I try to be, I mean, I'm not perfect and I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And the way I looked at that was, I got to do the best I can with the things that I have and the knowledge
Yeah.
that I have
Yeah.
and the mistake and my intentions are right, my intentions are good. And God's going to give me grace
Yeah.
on the parts that I screwed up on or I didn't know about. And that's how I kind of got through that part where because I thought I had screwed up to the point where I waited too long in New Zealand. I'm literally gonna die because I
That
waited
must have
around too
been
long.
terrifying. Yes, that must have been
Well, I
really
was
scary.
upset. I was upset with myself. So disappointed, you know? And and still, we still there was a way. And that's the thing. It's like, if you have a chance, that's all you need.
Yeah.
You just need one chance.
Yep.
It doesn't matter the percentages. It doesn't matter anything, and what I would do is I would go out on the internet and I'd find stories about some dude that beat pancreatic cancer, right? And I'm like,
Yes. Good for
if
you.
this old guy can do that,
There
I
you
can
go.
too,
You can
And
too. Inspiring
when I watched the
yourself. Yeah.
movie, that's right. When I
Yeah.
watched Gladiator, I was the gladiator.
Yeah.
I
That's so
was,
good. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm the one in the ring, and the stuff that I'm whipping, I'm beating that cancer up, I'm beating that
Yeah.
infection
Yeah.
up. And so that's how I tried to win, I mean, I don't think it's like this super big, formula of rocket science.
Yeah.
It's just continually
Yeah.
just hitting those, just keeping going, And I
You
had bad
just
days,
you don't
you
give
know?
up. Everybody has troubles, everybody fails and slips, but you get back up.
That's
If
right.
you The only way you can really fail is to just, not do it.
That's right. That's
And
right.
you decided, I mean, against all odds. I mean, think about all the time. I don't know if I would have kept going. I mean, you just kept deciding. No, I'm sure someone will help me. I'll find that next doctor and I'll keep going.
I had bad days. I've had terrible days. I
Yeah.
mean, I'd go in and the doctor would tell me something and it would crush me,
Yeah.
and
You're only
I
human,
would,
right?
and yeah, I'd go home and, I just clear the afternoon, and I'd say, you know what? I got to think about this. I got to absorb it. I got to think about what my options are. I got to go to the sidelines. I'm calling a timeout. I'm
Yeah,
going to the
yeah.
sidelines. I'm talking to my coach. I'm talking to my folks. I'm talking to my best friend. I'm talking to the people that I trust. What are my options here? What are we going to do? I'm going to try to get a good night's sleep, get something good to eat in me. I'm going to get the best sleep I can. And tomorrow morning, I'm going for it. It's a whole
Gonna
new day.
start
It's a
again.
fresh
Yeah.
start. It's a fresh start, and
Yep.
I'm just gonna I'm going. I'm gonna go for it. And I mean that's all it was. Because hey, I tried the giving up thing. The giving up thing. Oh, I mean
No, not for you.
it was like I gave up for a couple weeks just hanging around, and it was like, you know what? I might as well just go in the backyard and dig a hole because I'm just waiting around to die,
Not for
man.
you. Right. Not for you.
That was worse. I think that's worse than even dying.
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
horrible state. Right.
oh, it was
So,
terrible.
so tell me, is there
Yeah.
anything we didn't cover? Is there anything else you'd like to share that you want people to know about you?
Gosh, um, the thing is, we all have things in life, and and there's always something. I'll tell you, this is one other little analogy I like to kind of give out.
Good.
I get people ask me, like, oh my God, you had cancer 3 times. Aren't you afraid you're going to get it again? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm absolutely not afraid. And I'll tell you why. Because I have a little deck of cards, right? And there are 52 cards in that deck. And, it's the deck of cards of life. And, and you know what? I got some tough cards a while back.
Hmm.
And I played them. I played that hand and I got rid of those cards and they're gone and they can never come back. And I'm optimistic about what the next card is I'm pulling off the deck because it's
Great.
going to be better than what I had because I've already been through so many of the bad ones.
Yeah. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now, if we want to read your book, is the best place to find the book you co-authored? Is that on Amazon?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
what's that
That's
called again?
absolutely it.
What's the
It
title?
is called oh gosh, I always get this so confused. It's called you know what? Hold on one
No, I
second.
have it. I just wanted you to say it on air. I mean, I'll put
Oh
it in the
yeah.
show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I've got it right here.
Okay.
It is called Breaking the Silence: Voices of Survivors. Right there.
Fantastic. And it's got a lot of wonderful different stories. I was reading a little bit about it. Breaking the
Yeah,
Silence.
yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
And
There's a
so
lot
we
of
can,
awesome people involved in this. Yeah, this
and
book.
that just came out, right? You just said a couple weeks
Yep,
ago.
yep.
So it's
About 2 weeks
fresh. It's
ago.
a hot off
Yep,
the presses.
it
And
sure
what's
is.
the best way to get in touch with you if people want to talk to you more or communicate with you or, get your coaching services? What's the
Absolutely,
best way?
absolutely.
Website or
Yep.
email?
Email's great. Trentbrock at yahoo.com.
Okay.
And and my Facebook, I'm pretty active on my Facebook. It's Trent Brock. And I'm the guy doing the victory pose just
I
like
did
this.
see that. I
Because
looked at your
yep,
Facebook today. It's very
I'm winning.
inspiring.
We're winning. We're winning. Gotta
Excellent.
win. Gotta
So I'll
win.
put all that in the show notes. Cannot thank you enough. I was spellbound by your story. It's an amazing story. And I can't help but think that God has used you
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
to help others in a way that not everyone can.
Yep. Yep.
You were up
Yep.
to the challenge. You were up to the challenge. And I'm so touched by the beautiful creative doctors that you were able to find because that excites me
Yeah.
that they're out there. That's really important to remember. There are
Yep.
brave doctors that are called to do, the difficult things.
Absolutely.
And they served you and you must just love them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? The thing is, it's out there. It's out
Yeah,
there. But it's not going to show up at your front door.
I
You
think
got to
that's
go.
a
You got to go get it.
really good point.
You got to
I
go
think
get it.
if you look up your name in the dictionary, proactive is in the description, right? You go and you get it. Yeah, you're not a passive person. You're proactive
You
for
have to be.
sure.
You have to be. I
You
mean,
do
that's
have
how
to
that's
be.
how it is. And if you go, there's people that will help you. They
Yeah.
want to help you. You, you
Yes.
know. So I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, good for you. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you so much. I just appreciate you giving me the platform to be here. And you, you know I don't do this to get paid. I do this to pay it forward. And it's just, hey, if somebody, we all have a bad day. We all have bad things in life, and I hope that someone hears this and it's like, hey, you know what? If that guy can make it through that, I can make it through what I'm going through.
You better believe it. And you never know who's going to hear it. That's what I love about telling stories so that people
Yeah,
can hear them and be
yeah,
inspired.
that's
Well,
right.
you have a great day. Thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me